Welcome to Exam Sale. In this briefing we will walk through the official syllabus for the Citrix Deploy and Manage Citrix ADC 13 with Traffic Management exam. This exam covers 11 domains with exact weights: load balancing 12%, content switching 12%, basic networking 10%, SSL offload 10%, troubleshooting 10%, default and classic policies 10%, rewrite responder and URL transformation 10%, getting started 7%, high availability 7%, securing the Citrix ADC 7%, and Citrix ADC platforms 5%. Each domain has a stated focus, difficulty, estimated learning time, and assessment type that you should follow while preparing. Load balancing is 12% of the exam and focuses on configuring standard load balancing for enterprise services. This domain is medium difficulty, estimated at 8 hours of learning, and assessed with conceptual and scenario-based questions. You will learn to identify load balancing entities such as servers, services, and virtual servers, select methods and algorithms, implement persistence types and timeouts, configure service and custom monitors, manage service groups and destination IP hashing, and apply load balancing protection and thresholds. Content switching is 12% and focuses on traffic distribution based on request content. This domain is hard, estimated at 6 hours of learning, and assessed with scenario-based tasks. You will configure content switching virtual servers, define policies and expressions, establish target load balancing virtual servers, evaluate priority and precedence, and configure a default virtual server for non-matching traffic. Basic networking carries 10% and focuses on network architecture and IP management on Citrix ADC. This domain is medium difficulty, estimated at 7 hours of learning, and assessed with hands-on and conceptual items. You will configure NSIP and VIP, manage SNP and MIP, bind VLANs and interfaces, implement link aggregation and LAP, understand Layer 2 and Layer 3 modes, define static and dynamic routing, and configure policy-based routing. SSL offload is 10% and focuses on securing traffic through certificate management and SSL termination. This domain is medium difficulty, estimated at 6 hours of learning, and assessed with scenario-based questions. You will generate SSL certificates and private keys, implement SSL termination and offloading, configure SSL virtual servers and profiles, manage certificate authorities and chains, define SSL ciphers and protocol versions, and configure Diffie Hellman key exchange. Troubleshooting represents 10% and focuses on identifying and resolving ADC configuration and performance issues. This domain is hard, estimated at 9 hours of learning, and assessed with hands-on and conceptual exercises. You will use nstrace for packet capture, interpret nsconmsg and syslog output, monitor health via the Citrix ADC dashboard, configure SNMP and AppFlow for reporting, and troubleshoot load balancing and persistence problems. Default and classic policies account for 10% and focus on the policy infrastructure and expression evaluation. This domain is hard, estimated at 8 hours of learning, and assessed with scenario-based items. You will understand differences between default or advanced and classic policies, construct policy expressions and labels, define binding points and priority, use logical operators and data type conversion, and evaluate policy execution flow and termination. Rewrite, responder, and URL transformation make up 10% and focus on advanced traffic manipulation and redirection. This domain is hard, estimated at 8 hours of learning, and assessed with scenario-based questions. You will configure rewrite actions and policies, implement responder actions for redirection, define URL transformation profiles and rules, manage policy binding to virtual servers, and differentiate request versus response manipulation. Getting started is 7% and focuses on foundational architecture and initial configuration. This domain is easy, estimated at 4 hours of learning, and assessed with conceptual and scenario-based items. You will describe the N-core architecture and packet processing, compare hardware and software editions, implement licensing models, perform initial configuration and management access, and navigate the Citrix ADC GUI and CLI. High availability is 7% and focuses on ensuring continuous service availability and redundancy. This domain is medium difficulty, estimated at 5 hours of learning, and assessed with hands-on and conceptual tasks. You will configure HA nodes, manage propagation and synchronization, set failover triggers and health checks, resolve node state discrepancies, and implement HA management and networking. Securing the Citrix ADC accounts for 7% and focuses on hardening the appliance and managing administrative access. This domain is medium difficulty, estimated at 5 hours of learning, and assessed with scenario-based questions. You will configure authentication, authorization, and auditing, manage system users, groups, and command policies, implement administrative partitions, configure access control lists, and secure management interfaces such as SSH and HTTPS. Citrix ADC platforms are 5% and focus on understanding platform-specific hardware and virtualization features. This domain is easy, estimated at 3 hours of learning, and assessed with conceptual and scenario-based items. You will identify MPX hardware capabilities, explain SDX multi-tenant architecture, deploy VPX instances on hypervisors, understand hardware bypass and interface features, and differentiate physical and virtual platform limits. Study each domain in the order of weight and difficulty and allocate the recommended learning hours to build hands-on skills. Focus on the listed topics and assessment types to prepare for conceptual, scenario, and practical questions, and review the official documentation for configuration examples. Good luck, and use this syllabus as your roadmap to pass the Citrix ADC 13 traffic management exam.